How do they do it? Why do they do it? Riding and crashing and riding and winning and always faster and faster.
Well, welcome back everybody to With Antone MotoGP 2025. And we've just come off the back of the Indonesian Mandalika Grand Prix, which is round 18 of the championship. And what did we see? Well, some high drama. We saw rookie Fermin Aldeguer win his very first MotoGP. He's the first rookie since Martin in 21 to do that. He's the second youngest. We saw tyres dominate. As mentioned in the preview, the heat-resistant tyre really suited, well, it was more of a Moto2 kind of style. That's why we saw the bikes so close together, really changed the dynamic. They only used that tyre, I think, 3 or 4 times a season. So it meant that you could see the bikes very close together. I mean, look at Alex Rin's performance. That says it all. Plus, you could also see that the Yamaha being on power all the time in that smooth style, it really set that up. But there were some big crashes, and the biggest crash of all was Marc Márquez, Bezzecchi. I mean, he stuffed it up the inside there. He missed the jump start. He missed the start, tried to make it all up in that corner. Now MotoGP, it's a fickle business at best. It's a hard sport. I think people tend to forget exactly the consequences of these high-speed crashes. So it looks like a collarbone for Marc Márquez on his right-hand side, or even possibly a separation and some tendon damages. Shoulders are terrible things, and you know that can certainly cause Marc Márquez some trouble. So we wish him well with his surgery. He's flying back to Spain to get that done. And what's worse than running last? Running last and crashing out. Peccobagnaia, I can't believe what's going on there. And in a race of a lot of casualties, only 14 riders finished the Grand Prix. And I think it's very interesting about what that says about each of the teams and each of the manufacturers. So speaking of which, let's start with Ducati. Well, Gresini, 2 Gressinis on the podium. Frankie Cardetti, what a guy. He's now won with, I don't know how many riders, but I know Suzuki and also a number of riders in Gresini. In fact, every Gresini rider in the MotoGP era ever has won. And do you know what really got Aldegar to that position? He crashed the bike in qualifying, he ran back, jumped on the spare bike. Now the team did a fantastic job. They got that second number 2 bike as close to the number 1 bike. So honestly, that was really, really important. And what we're seeing is Gresini are benefiting from 2 riders running similar bikes with similar setups. Now, you can't say this about the red team, the factory Ducati team. Look at the Friday qualifying. We've got 2 bikes that are not even, I don't even think half the people know what the versions are. Look, it was admitted during the broadcast that Mr. Go-Free Pecco did ride the GP24, but Ducati didn't confirm that. There's been a lot of denials. Tardozzi, however, he's backtracked a little bit from the last time we talked about Ducati. He did admit that there are differences between the 24 engine and the 25 engine. Now, whether that's a flywheel, whether that's an inertia, whether that's engine braking, but really it looked to me, I mean, if you looked at Gigi, he had the Band-Aid across his nose. I think a lot of celebrations and maybe a little bit of a loss of focus. So Bagnaia's on 24.9 in Japan. He's racing the same bike, but really Ducati have not and are not handling this situation well. The Pecco situation is being completely exploded now. I don't quite know what's going on. They wanted Pecco and Marc Márquez. They've got them. They let Martin go, who was the current world champion. Now they've created this dynamic, and it's a classic Ducati dynamic. What we see is rider's perspective versus management perspective. And you know what? The management always wins, and I don't think there's going to be much change. VR46 did not really make much of a splash apart from their red outfits, a couple of top 10s, but that was where Ducati was at. So let's talk a little bit more about teams, and let's talk about Aprilia. Well, I don't know what's going on with Aprilia. They turn up to the track. They got 2 bikes out of 4 on the grid. I don't know. Martin was injured. We knew this. Why there wasn't a replacement rider, I don't know. Do they have a replacement rider? They're talking about Oliveira, trying to get him to do testing and sign with BMW. I don't honestly really know. Rivola, for me, is not a great manager, and I don't think he's creating a great environment. They have a demonstrated history of failing on the flyaway rounds. This happens every year, and we're seeing it. You know, Bezz has taken over, unfortunately, from Martin's bad luck. And he really didn't have to make that move, stick it up the inside of Marc Márquez. He was the fastest guy. Look at the sprint. He could have just taken his time. There was a very long race. Even Aldegar said he spent half of the race waiting for someone to arrive from behind. He never got there. So crazy racing. And then Fernandez on the track house. Well, I think Marini said it was crazy what he was doing. There was no need for do that. He could have just competed, but Fernandez, he's 4 years now in MotoGP. I mean, is his time up? What's he doing? I'm not really a fan, I've got to be honest, with Fernandez. I know he came through that Moto2. He finished runner-up to Remy Gardner, and he's been around the scene. But really, for me, Aprilia need to take a look at themselves and think about what they're doing. And look, they've mismanaged Jorge Martin. Why don't they help Bezzecchi, when you're that fast, have a word? Okay, on to KTM. Really strong performance by Pedroacosta, a more mature Pedroacosta, can I say. He was holding up the whole field in that Grand Prix. He was battling with front tyre pressure issues. Now, what I'm hearing from the paddock is the Aprilia have to run a harder rubber compound than the other guys, which means they're great on braking, but they're not so competitive through the corners. So that's it. And Brad Binder, for the first time, I don't know when the last time there was 2 KTMs in the top 5 of a Moto Grand Prix, but there you go. Vinales withdrew and Bastianini, he DNF'd. Now let's turn our attention to HRC. After the success of Motegi, what did we see? We saw Luca Marini being very quick. We saw him have the opportunity. Look, Fernandez, he's complaining about Fernandez. We can talk about it, but honestly, you've got to deal with the conditions and you've got to ride to what they were doing. He was very aggressive to try to get past Acosta. That cost him and dropped him back to Fernandez. So it swings and roundabouts in motorcycle racing. You know, he could have been on the podium. Mir managed to find another crash. What a surprise. He did remount. And Zarco's just not handling the tyres. I mean, we talk tyres and tyres. Like I said at the start, this race suited that smooth Moto2 kind of style. The more traditional riders did not have that, and they suffered because of that. So that leaves us with Yamaha and the carbon fibre leg man. He's back. He's absolutely back. We saw Rins charge through the field. He got up into that second place. Now, Rins is one of the more strange riders. Like, we saw him win that race riding for Honda in Austin. He can do things and then he can't do things. But I mean, he was a benefit of the Yamaha, enjoying that style. He got it up into second place, but of course, they're running the hard front, the soft rear. It started to fade and he dropped towards the back. Fabio ran in the top 10, didn't really show too much. Thriller Miller, well, I don't know what's happening with Jack Miller. I was seriously watching the qualifying sessions, and I'm wondering whether Jack Miller's running any test parts or something. I don't know what's going on. Miller's known to be quick in qualifying at a minimum. We all know he drops back through the field. So we're going to have to wait and see what's happening with Yamaha. So overall, it was a pretty tough weekend. It's a tough weekend if you're the world champion of MotoGP in 2025, as Marc Márquez found out. Now he's heading back for surgery. We all wish him well. It's time now for Ducati management to stop partying and focus on the situation and work out what's going on. At least get a consistent media message. It seems to be completely scrambled. They're not in control of what the other Ducati teams are even saying. That leak about 24 should never come out from VR46. But anyway, it was a great ride by Fermin Aldeguer. What a champion, what a rookie. And it was something to celebrate for Grassini. What a great result. So anyways, that's the wrap. If you've liked today, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, then jump on board with Antone MotoGP. But you tell me what you thought of the Grand Prix that we've just had in Mandalika. And then let's start to look forward to round 19 down at the Phillip Island, which, as we know, it's not going to be 34 degrees down at the island on the 17th to 19th of October. All right, well, thanks for listening today, and we'll talk again real soon. Okay, bye for now.